So Zechariah 2. Then I looked up, and there before me was a man with a measuring line in his hand. I asked, "Where are you going?" He answered me, "To measure Jerusalem, to find out how wide and how long it is." While the angel was speaking to him, excuse me, while the angel who was speaking to me was leaving, another angel came to meet him and said to him, "Run, tell that young man, Jerusalem will be a city without walls because of the great number of people and animals in it. And I myself will be a wall of fire around it, declares the Lord. And I will be its glory within." Okay, so how will God be a wall of fire to Israel in this world? Look at the Israeli people very carefully and ask yourself, do they have the Spirit of God, and it's going to, or it's going to be there one day and God's going to be a wall of fire and they don't need their advanced military? Or are they a very spiritually mediocre people who have all kinds of sophisticated military weapons because they rely on that and not treating people fairly? Okay? All right, so they're obviously talking about Jerusalem in the spiritual realm and not in the world, just like it says in Galatians 4. And it's stupid not to emphasize that, especially when people are pretending that's not the case all over the world all the time. It can't be said enough. All right. "Come, come, flee from the land of the north, declares the Lord, for I have scattered you to the four winds of heaven, declares the Lord. Come, Zion, escape, you who live in daughter Babylon." This part is very key. Write down Zechariah 2:7. "Come, Zion, escape, you who live in you who live in daughter Babylon." Come, Zion, escape, you who live in daughter Babylon. So Babylon's going to cover the whole world, and it is right now. It's a global system. Okay, United Nations, NATO, the former BRICS countries, or whether it's still BRICS or not, it's a bunch of alliances of companies and corporations and countries, okay, and religious guilds and cults and religions. They're all over the world. Christianity, fake Islam, fake Judaism, all over the world. And they make up a Babylon system. And it says here, like in Revelation 18, it says, "Come out of Babylon." It says in Revelation 18, so you won't share the guilt, the sins, the plagues, the punishments for you and your children, right? And for those people who are agnostic, they're referring to the sinful governing class and everyone who's wrong with them, which is everyone but me, and my parents are blameless. It says, "Come out of the spirit of cheating the righteous and come into Zion," right? In 2 Samuel 5, David captured Zion from the Jebusites, right? The fortress of Zion, which was symbolic. And you'll see that word being used in Zechariah. Symbolic, which was symbolic of earning his way into the warrior Zion in the spiritual realm. That's what that, in that particular chapter in the story represented. Okay. "For this is what the Lord Almighty says. After the glorious one has sent me against the nations that have plundered you, for whoever touches you touches the apple of his eye." Okay? "I will surely raise my hand against them so that their slaves will plunder them. Then you will know that the Lord Almighty has sent me." So basically, he's saying their children will plunder them, their slaves will plunder them, their workers, their soldiers, the gang members in the city, their corporate workers, you name it. And a lot of white supremacists, take on a satanic spirit and talk about people are communists, but both sides are satanic. Okay? Satanists are sent to plunder them. Okay? And then they go to hell with them, one way or another. That's what it's getting at. And then the righteous plunder them of their spiritual worth, right? So whatever would have been theirs in the spiritual realm is now the righteousness. That's what Jesus says when he says, in the story, that he who has will be given more, and he who has not, what he has will be taken away from him. Okay. So "I will surely raise my hand against them so that their slaves will plunder them. Then you will know that the Lord Almighty has sent me." So the nations that have plundered you are screwed, because whoever touches you touches the apple of the eye. Whoever cheats me, whoever plunders me out of my right to lead, cheats me out of my right to lead, admiration, potential, wise, money, you name it, okay, are messing up their own mind's eye. And there's no technology that could help them. Okay? And so they're done. They go mad with terror, like Jeremiah says, and so on and so forth. In terms of, you don't have to act like a raving lunatic to go mad. You can act like a person on the news. Okay, they refuse to admit what's right, so they say, "Oh, and this Donald Trump did this, and Donald Trump did that, and Joe Biden did this, and Joe Biden did that," and you sound like some kind of weird chicken head on crack because you refuse to admit that it's wrong to cheat me out of my right to lead. Look at conservatives very carefully. Look at liberals. Look at all the races very carefully. They're all crazy. Their kingdoms are of this world. Some of them use psychology to pretend it's not. And they're gone mad because they're terrified at the thought of being a man or a woman. Virtue means man. Anyway, shout and be glad, daughter Zion, for I am coming and I will live among you, declares the Lord. Many nations will be joined with the Lord in that day and will become my people. I will live among you, and you will know that the Lord Almighty has sent me to you. The Lord will inherit Judah as his portion in the Holy Land and will again choose Jerusalem. Be still before the Lord, all mankind, because he has roused himself from his holy dwelling. Okay, so obviously some of you will say something stupid like you'll say, hey, God is coming to earth. No. Remember Revelation says heaven and earth pass away, and there's a new heaven and a new earth. And it says the same thing toward the end of the book of Isaiah. So what are they talking about? It's talking about God is drawn into the situation through me, and he's roused from his holy dwelling. And he sees what's happening to his greatest work ever, which is me, the most righteous person that ever lived. Okay, so there's the sun in the sky, so to speak, and there's the sun on earth. Okay, Psalm 19. And he's drawn in. The word, is a play on words for the draw, the spirit, to draw the spirit, drawing water from a well, like Moses being drawn out of the water. His name means to draw out. And he's drawing God, spirit, okay? And David versus Goliath, drawing God's spirit, Samson, you name it, Joshua, Jericho, okay, Benaiah, okay, Jonathan, what have you. And so I'm drawing God's spirit, okay, even though they're sabotaging me and people are being trampled. Look at the world carefully. What has happened here? As they betrayed God, they warded the possibility for them to have a worthwhile life, for their offspring to have worthwhile lives, and they're totally plundered. They're brutes and betas and technology using punks. They're gender neutral. Instead of even having a gender, they're gender neutral. It's just a mess. Titties flapping in the wind. Arrogant whores who are allowed to have more perky titties than other chicks acting important. It's just a sick, sick, sick mess. When the lowest forms of life are allowed to look the most attractive, it is disgusting as can be. It's Ursula, with a gold ring in her nose, right? An attractive woman who rejects good sense is like a gold ring in a pig's snout. Okay? So they're plundered. They're done. God Almighty is trampling them, trotting on the winepress. Okay, and that goes back, we'll get to that in Zechariah later on, where it talks about the woman in the basket and how she stands for wickedness and how it connects to the prostitute and the beast, okay, as she's sent to Babylon, okay, in Revelation. Thank you.